1. Chris Francis will kick it away for the Cyclones. And this one will be fielded 3 yards deep by Smith Marset, and he'll take a knee. Well, we get to find out, Holly, how to say first and 10
for Iowa to watch this week in preparation. So I asked head coach of the Hawkeyes, Kirk Ferentz, if this impacted their preparation at all, and he said, nah, we know who the Cyclones are and how they play, Tim.
Indeed, they do. But this is the first time the opposition from Ames, Iowa, has been a team coming in off of road victories like the one they got at Oklahoma a year ago. And, of course, they followed that up with a victory against TCU. And to open the game before we even get a start, a delay of game penalty. You know, we're having to wait way too long to start our season.
But the good thing is there's not a cloud in the sky, brother. I don't care what's delaying it down there, as long as we're playing on the field.
I still don't get to say first and 10. It's first and 15. Here's Torrin Young. He'll be carrying it a lot today. Ivory Kelly Martin tweaked an ankle. Did not practice much of the season. Willie Harvey to stop a 7-yard gain. As you look at Nate Stanley, had that big 5-touchdown performance against Ohio State, played well in the overtime win, 44-41 in Ames a year ago, but he has not reached 200 yards, Spencer, since that Ohio State game in passing. Only 47% completion rate a week ago.
That's not going to cut it today. He's got to have at least 60% completion to win this one.
It's Young again. Stopped this time by DeAndre Payne. And let's get Tillman's takes for today's game.
Well, early on, they put the ball on the ground and run it, which is no surprise. But I think in terms of Iowa right now, it's about protecting their quarterback, Nate Stanley. As you said, that 47%, that won't be a factor. If they get their ground game running, it's been backs by committee for the most part for them. They need to get something done. And then, of course, to counter that, got to create pressure packages. When they do throw, you got to put some pressure on the quarterback.
Keep an eye on Fant as a receiver. It's 3rd down and 4 because of the penalty prior to first down. Stanley over the middle, tipped into the air. Boy, that almost was picked, knocked up. The pass was intended for Emir Smith-Marset.
Yeah, but Mike Rose was in there in the middle of that linebacker position. Remember, he's taking over for Joel Lanning, who last year was the captain of this team, played on both sides of the ball, Timmy. Right now showing signs is the linebacker in that Mike position early on. That's the kind of coverage they're going to need today.
John Haycock, the defensive coordinator, was one time at Army. He's been with Matt Campbell for quite some time. His defense really was a difference maker a year ago in the Big 12. As you see, Rastetter booting it away, and the left footer gets it end over end inside the 30 and will roll dead at the 28-yard line. That's a 43-yard boot. Kyle Kempt, he was a 4th-string walk-on before he went to Norman. And look at what he's done since. 130 without an INT.
Well, he's impressive. He's put on 20 pounds, Tim, and he really looks the part right now. He doesn't have all the measurables as Stanley, but what he does have, he's extremely accurate. And you pointed out he's got Montgomery back there. And we know the best friend of a quarterback that may not have all those assets is to have a solid run game.
He's a big one, 6'5", 224. Out of the shotgun on first down, over the middle. That's Montgomery. They'll use him out of the backfield quite a bit. He gets it out to the 32, 5-yard pickup. And let's get Tillman's takes yet again.
Well, the early part here is about establishing a deep threat. Even though they go to the ground, they're still working the passing game and ironically getting into the running backs when they go 4 verts and then contain Montgomery. They haven't been able to do it, hadn't had a shot on the ground, but even in the throw game, he's dangerous, Tim.
On second down, underneath yet again.
Wow.
There goes Deshaunte Jones. He got the touchdown that didn't count a week ago against the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. Nick Neiman, number 49, runs him down. That is a healthy gain of 28.
Well, Coach Campbell told us one of the things they've got to do with Deshaunte Jones and Hakeem Butler, his other battery mate at the X position, is just get the ball in their hands, Timmy, on some of those little intermediate routes and let them work it down the field. And you can see they're dangerous once they get it under their arm.
Matt Campbell is calling his own plays. He lost his offensive coordinator a year ago. Why not give it to Montgomery? He will break tackle after tackle. That is probably his greatest asset. His ability to find yardage when little should be there. O.J. Mudia, number 11, the cornerback from Farmington Hills, Michigan, comes up to make the stop. for the Hawkeyes.
Unudia had him dead to rights, and you can see that didn't look like it was anything special, but it obviously was prevented a 2-yard loss there. And Montgomery's just something special. Even a nondescript run like that, he saves your high. Here's a formation you're going to be looking for today. There's going to be something that's going to give some problems to this Iowa back end.
Started with trips. Montgomery now peels back as the setback, and will take it up the middle. He pierces the 35 and down to the 31-yard line. Talking about those missed tackles, he's proven himself to be one of the most elusive in 2015. Look at these names. Fournette of LSU. The next year, Dalvin Cook of FSU. But last year, it was Montgomery, setting a new record, tracked by Pro Football Focus with 109 forced missed tackles.
Tim, when you hear people talk about putting your foot in the ground, you saw a couple of times on those cuts, it's really tough to put him in a phone book and bring him down.
Iowa, primarily a zone defensive team. And it's Montgomery again forging ahead. Look at that push, Spence.
And this is the inexperienced offensive front that coach says he's not quite sure on. Boy, they look sure and intent as they move the chains and get the first down. And in doing to the Hawkeyes what the Hawkeyes wanted to do to the visitors. Wow, look at the big guys up front, Timmy. Right here, there's the push that's coming right in the middle, the if route. Underneath that, the big guy's uncovered. He's free to come around and make a tremendous play.
Spencer, you'll notice that Julian Good-Jones, number 51, has moved over to center from tackle. They had a freshman that they weren't sure could handle this kind of pressure from that stout Iowa D. So they've shaken up their offensive front, which Campbell says is the key to their success this year. Over the middle, again, it's Montgomery. Adept at coming out of the backfield. Boy, what a future he's got. Inside the 20, down to the 17-yard line, a gain of 8.
And Neiman had him down on that strong side, number 49. But you can see once again, Montgomery, he is so elusive. He's got great balance. And you mentioned he kind of reminds you of Barry Sanders with that low center of gravity, how he spins out. But he's special once he gets up the field.
Second down and 2. There he goes. Inside the 10 for a first down. Or excuse me, the 15 for a first down, about 3 yards away after a 4-yard pickup.
See, the disappointing thing right now, if you're Iowa, you're saying, okay, they've come out, hit a couple of pass plays, one of them to the backs. They've mixed things up tremendously on the offensive side of the ball as they try to get a handle on what's going on with this stop unit.
There's Phil Parker.
Yep.
20 years he's been at Iowa. 7 of those as defensive coordinator, originally a secondary coach. Outstanding collegian himself. Strong ties to the Big Ten at Michigan State. There's Gronowig, and he's stopped at about the 10-yard line by O.J. Mudia again.
O.J. Mudia playing that field corner position. It's really lonely out there. Even when you've got a balanced field, look, it's a lot of water out there that an elusive running back can make it be intimidating. You can see him coming off the top here. Here's the angle that he's got is really nondescript, but he's able to play very safe and with integrity. That is his head up the field, so he forces the running back to go nowhere but up. There he's got help.
They actually marked the ball back at the 12-yard line. 2nd and 9. They've got tall Akeem Butler in the slot to the bottom of your screen.
Got the back.
A little wheel route. It's Gronowig. Inside the 5. Powers his way to the 2. Hankins makes the stop, the sophomore from Louisville, Texas.
Look at the back here. When he comes out of the backfield, you're going to watch. He comes across the formation and heads this way instead. Just a little check route. Does a nice job of creating leverage on the inside out. Tough to tackle him. Newman had a chance to do it. Just couldn't have the speed enough to bring him down. Great elusiveness. The ball settled in that right hand so that he can have the left hand free to fend off the defender.
Listen, it was vital in Iowa State's mind to get out to a quality start. Maybe get the lead and dictate pace of play. This is the 10th play of this drive. Play fake.
Wow.
To the corner, well defended and isolated. As you saw on the receiving end, that's Dylan Sainer, one of the tight ends, and both of these teams use a bundle of them. Hankins was in a one-on-one situation in space, made a heck of a play.
Matt Hankins just played with leverage, and that's just how you do it. You got a big tight end who was losing his footing. Otherwise, that could have been a tough matchup. When I saw the matchup immediately, I thought it was going to be dangerous because when you're giving up 46 pounds to a guy, you're really going to lose that battle typically. But because of the slippage by the tight end, he brought him down easily.
Sean Buckner is the fullback, as you see. And they go Wildcat.
Yeah, Wildcat, Timmy.
Montgomery behind Sean Buckner. And he stopped at the 1. That's Jaimon Colbert, 32, the freshman from Shawnee Mission, Kansas, making the stop. So 3rd and goal from the 1.
Well, here's 32 right here. Again, he's typically going to be a back, and you can see him back there. He's going to get the ball, the direct snap to him. Does a nice job of working through there, but great defense there in the middle. Colbert and company did a nice job of shutting that down.
Hey, this is a irresistible force versus the immovable object. 6.5-minute play, 12-play drive, culminating here on 3rd and 1. Montgomery, the setback, out of the shotgun. Going for the fade towards Butler, incomplete. He's got a huge size advantage. You had to know at some moment they'd go that route, but Amani Hooker, 21, was right there with him.
Now, Amani's just 6 foot 210. That's actually pretty good side for either a nickel or a corner, but the height advantage, Coach Campbell thought he was going to have the advantage here. This little out route here is something that is usually just a 50-50 ball opportunity. The ball was overthrown. Great defensive effort there. Hooker doing a tremendous job of shutting that down.
They had two. They had Deshaunee Jones a little further. They're going for it. Here on 4th down.
Why not?
Pivotal play here. Sean Boehner is the fullback.
They got 2 tights, Tim.
Montgomery
This is
dotting the I. And looks like we're going to have a timeout.
Timmy, here's the reason why they call the timeout Iowa. You've got 12 men on the field. You got 1 trying to make his way off, but that leaves you with 10 after the 11th guy comes off the field. So they're shorthanded. I'm glad they called the timeout because there was the weak spot in that under formation. Got it off just in time to prevent a sure touchdown, in my opinion.
4th down and 1. 13th play of the drive.
They're still going to run it to that left side, Timmy.
Sean Boehner is the fullback, dotting the I again, Montgomery, and we've got a flag down.
Yeah, that left guard or left tackle actually moved, and that's where they were going. That's where the inexperience tends to come into play, Timmy.
That's Josh Mueller, who had to move over.
Yep.
That means they'll have to go with 3. So moving the offensive line around may have caused a little confusion for Campbell's team, and now they'll go for the 3.
Well, I think they were going Josh's way, and he couldn't hold his water. Got called for the infraction.
Connor Asali will try for the field goal, 23 yards. Out of the hold of Joe Rivera, 98. Just snuck it in, the right upright. A packed house yet again in a series that's seen 65 great matchups. In the last 20, tied at 10 games apiece. Somebody's going to launch themselves into the top 25 to beat the Cannonball Express to Petticoat Junction once.
That was what Uncle Joe was doing out there.
He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. 13 plays, 66 yards, 6:49 off the clock. Asali with a field goal. You love the balance, I know.
Well, that's
number
it.
of touches
You
from
can
Montgomery.
talk about all those numbers. I'm talking about balance. What you've effectively done is put tremendous pressure on the entire defense of Iowa.
Smith, Marset, and Gronowig are back deep. We've got yet another touchback. And let's get you back to Los Angeles now for this game break with our Greg Wolf. A game in which a week ago, I think Washington did a lot for their credibility, albeit in a loss in Atlanta. Most believe, though, they'll have to run the table in the Pac-12 this year if they want to get back into the college football playoff. Torrin Young again dots the I behind Nate Stanley at quarterback. And he runs right into a bevy of Cyclones off the left side. That is Marcel Spears. Now, you talk about a specimen. Number 42 is something special. Out of the state of Kansas, North High School, this young man is big time. Second on the team in tackles for losses a year ago. 107 overall in his career.
Tell you got to watch, though, is number 50, Wazarike. He's going to be so active along that front. He plays right down here with that long hair flowing. He kind of reminds me of Jadeveon Clowney, man. I'm not saying he's Jadeveon, but he is really active.
This is as good a defensive line as they've had at Iowa State in a decade. That's Noah Fant, the highly thought of tight end, with his first grab of the day out to the 27-yard line. Mike Rose making the stop. Time now for home field advantage delivered by Pizza Hut, official pizza of college football. No one out pizzas the Hut. And look at that, Spencer.
You think he followed that up with some ice cream in after the pizza? Huh?
Can't believe that he can't believe after he becomes the all-time winner. Well, that's amazing. He just, he has great patience. We'll say that, right?
FBS's longest tenured coach. It's impressive, 20 years.
3rd down and 5. Stanley negotiates, navigates, and now decides to tuck it and go. Reaching for the sticks, I believe he may have enough. DeAndre Payne taking him out of bounds. That's a gain of 6. Move the chains, it's 1st down.
Uwazurike, number 50, was the one that originally flushed him out, but as you said, Payne got it, but he still got the 1st down. You can see, again, the pressure's going to come from here. The quarterback will elude it. That's fantastic, but the push up front is what flushes him out. Again, this is a big quarterback. 65 mobility is not necessarily his strong asset, but there it's effective enough to get the chains moving.
Mekhi Sargent, number 10, is into the game and totes it for the very first time. Spun down at the point of attack, maybe a yard pickup. Uwazurike, the aforementioned star redshirt sophomore out of Detroit, making the tackle, and he's long and lean, has great speed to go with it as a rush end.
And he's new to the game. You know, he hadn't been playing this game very long, but he's got all the assets. He's got a prototypical body. We call him, Archie Manning used to call him high pockets. You know, those high-waisted guys, you know. He looks really good in his uniform, man, and he gets after you.
Old Red will enjoy that reference
yeah.
you made of him there. 2nd down and 9. Sargent remains the setback. Play fake to him. They're looking for Smith-Marsette, incomplete. He had the line to make. It would have been a 1st down, but quality coverage there by Brian Peavy, the redshirt senior from Houston.
Well, he's a great leader on the back end. You see Stanley, great delivery. I'm telling you, he put everything into that ball, but the timing of it, Brian Peavy playing that left corner position, I mean, it was a bang-bang play. Same time he got that finger in that hand in there and punched it out. That's outstanding defensive play. They've got a couple of corners, and then Payne on the opposite side, and then Peavy. Peavy's the shutdown guy and the captain of the stop unit, and Payne is a pretty good duo between them.
Keep an eye on Gronowig here, 14. He's in the slot to the top of your screen as a wide receiver.
Love his game.
He's a possession guy. They give it to Sargent instead, and he's dumped behind the line by Jaquan Bailey. We talked about how good Uwazurike is, but boy, Jaquan Bailey is big time. This is an honorable mention all Big 12 player. He led him with sacks with 7 a year ago.
Well, you can see how he comes off the ball inside with that nice move, number 3. Arm over, and even though it lacked integrity. In other words, he had no outside contain. He came underneath and still was able to get up the field to funnel everything back down. He is just so athletic. Jacksonville, Florida produces some tremendously athletic, skilled guys. This right here is one of them.
Ratstetter will punt it away. And the left footer that can kick that end-over-end variety. This time spirals it. It's a beautiful punt. And hits like a 60-degree Mac Daddy from Callaway. 51 yards, that boot. Switching the field beautifully. Cyclones will have it leading by 3 when we return. Touched a little earlier on the Cyclones shockers of a year ago, handing Oklahoma their lone loss of the regular season. They followed that up by knocking off TCU, taking them away from the ranks of the unbeaten. And in the Liberty Bowl, on the home field of the Memphis Tigers, they earned their 4th bowl win of all time. Matt Campbell electing to stay in Ames with a veteran team that has learned how to win. David Montgomery again in the backfield. And he stopped near the line of scrimmage. This is an Iowa defense so tough. Jack Hockaday, 48, making the stop. And Kirk Ferentz, listen, he's built this program on defense, toughness, and blending good players that can be challenged to become better than advertised, and a few great ones along the way. Under pressure, and that one is incomplete. A lot of heat coming. Pass was intended for David Montgomery, but Kyle Kempt was under duress.
Well, you got corner pressure coming from outside, and again, Kempt isn't the most mobile guy, but he's very accurate. He steps up in that pocket, stands in there and delivers, and that's something to be said for that. But as you said, this stop unit predicated on that toughness, integrity in terms of coverage. You're not going to get them making a lot of mistakes. They're sound.
Parker Hesse, number 40, the senior from Walk-On, Iowa, with the pressure that time. This senior class wants to complete the Iowa State sweep of 4-0. Pressure off the backside. Down he goes, Nick Niemann.
Well, what got this young Iowa State offensive line was the sugar look that they got up front. You're going to see all these guys standing up. Nobody's got a responsibility. It's tough for them to understand, who do I have? Who do I have? And then the edge rush comes off and it nails the quarterback. You got to sort all that out and then get that in man on the line of scrimmage. That's just a communication problem, and it happens when you've got those young offensive linemen.
They keep it in the family. Nick Neiman, his older brother Ben, made the roster of the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. Here's the boot. Gronowig is back deep, and it's a shank. Boy, he missed that one big time. Did. That's Corey Dunn, the punter. Not one of his better moments. Hawkeyes will have it when we come back. Fox College Football, presented by Volkswagen, is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you. Spencer, give me some of that sugar look that you were talking about going to break.
Well, the sugar's just really about confusion. What you really mean and intend, you don't disclose it until the very last possible minute. Here's the guy that ends up making the play, Neiman. He's way out here. It looks like the coverage is going to come from out here, but it's coming all the way from the outside. This slot guy doesn't even recognize it. He's out on the field. He should snap that off immediately and read it like a hot route. But again, well disguised. Tremendous effort there by the Hawkeyes and Phil Parker and that defensive coordinator getting that secondary in the position to make a great play.
The other thing you notice is A.J. Panesso, the other defensive end, peeled back into coverage and took away that little crossing pattern, that shallow cross.
They did to Iowa State what Iowa State did to Oklahoma and TCU so much last year.
Great field position after just a 14-yard boot. As good as a turnover, really, for Iowa. Lofting it for Fant. Back shoulder throw. Outstanding defense. Fans wanted a flag, but no way. DeAndre Payne with a nice one. Fant, by the way, 13 career touchdowns.
Well, so here's the deal. This guy right here is 5'10", number one, Payne. And this guy right here is like 6'5", legitimately. Just great position. Putting yourself between the would-be receiver and then the sideline, that's just good football right there. Even though you don't turn around and identify the ball, yeah, it possibly could have been called, but I think that's just solid defense.
2nd down and 10. Fant comes down to the bottom of your screen, 87.
Wow.
And this time Stanley keeps it. Uwarzurike makes the stop. Nothing doing. And it's 3rd down and long yet again.
You're going to hear number 50's name called an awful lot today because of his assignment. It takes you about a quarter to figure out exactly what they're trying to do with him. But he's going to do a tremendous job. Bryant looks on. Ferentz, the offensive coordinator, he's trying to figure out how can we penetrate down and take advantage of an errant kick to score against this underrated Cyclone defense.
After 4 years with the New England Patriots, he came back to coach with his dad. He was a center on that team that beat LSU in the 2005 Capital One Bowl.
You can't tell he's not going to be a head coach
no,
one day,
indeed.
can you?
3rd down and 9. They go empty out of the shotgun. Pressure up the middle. He just had to unload it that time. Outstanding pressure from Ray Lima. Pass intended for Brandon Smith, and they'll have to settle for 3 as Lima came shooting through there.
Well, you talk about, 310 pounds coming at you. That's tough, man. 310 pounds of mobility, too. You see how he played and finished that, not stumbling all over the place. Usually a mobile quarterback can move to the left or right with good footwork and make a big guy like that miss. But Lima laid on him. Didn't go anywhere. Not fooled.
Miguel Racinos will now try a 38-yarder. That one's hooked. Left of the upright and no good. So they're shut down and remain 3 points behind. Fox College Football is presented by the all-new, totally remixed Volkswagen Jetta. There you see the Children's Hospital, which will be the center of our attention at the end of this first quarter. One of the great new traditions in college football. David Montgomery bounces outside on 1st down. Look at him go. That's a 1st down beyond the 30. Stopped by Neiman, 49, after an 11-yard gain.
Got bounced out there. Chase Allen, number 11, the tight end, is the one that busted him free. Did a nice job once he got underneath this. You can see number 11 downfield, staying upright because he knows the rules. You can't block a guy from the side down 5.
Boy, a big opportunity blown by Iowa after a 14-yard punt. They get nothing done offensively and miss a field goal try. And now the Cyclones go empty.
They set this up in the first series, Tim.
Low snap. Kempt in trouble. He's flushed. Manages to get back near the line of scrimmage, maybe a half-yard shy of it. Stopped by A.J. Epinesa in 94. And ladies and gentlemen, at the end of this quarter, it means it's time for, as we mentioned, probably the greatest new tradition in college football. In its second year, the Kinnick Wave, where everyone here at Kinnick shares a wave on wave. Well wishes with the patients and families inside the Children's Hospital. Pat Green's music plays, and the families and those kids and the 69,000 plus wave back. Take it all in. There is more good, and college football is part of the reason for it. The wave is special, and so too is David Montgomery of Iowa State. Consider his relationship with 6-year-old Hunter Erb, a Cyclones fan who was born with multiple heart defects. Their friendship began at an Iowa State practice where Montgomery was the lead blocker for a play designed just for Erb. And they FaceTime frequently, and David has visited Hunter in the hospital, has done so many times. And after that heart surgery, I know he's watching, and we're thinking of you and your family. Wonderful piece written in The Athletic by our colleague at Fox, Bruce Feldman, about David and what that young man has done and how much he means to Hunter Erb.
As special as that is, you talk to Coach Campbell, he says that's the least of which we can talk about this kid. He is so special and important to this ball club as a leader. Influences so many. He's the first one, the hardest to work, probably the most gifted guy on the team from an athletic standpoint. Tremendous leader. 2nd down and 10 as we open the second quarter in Iowa City. Battle for the CyHawk Trophy. Big 12 versus Big 10 on Fox today. The second of 3. Montgomery ahead to about the 35, just shy of it, before being pushed back by Cedric Lattimore, 95. 6'3", 295-pounder out of Redford, Michigan. Good solid defense there, but again, what I like about Montgomery as a running back, he's a balanced back, Tim. He can run heavy if he needs to. He can certainly make you miss. Solid guy, about 5'10", 215, 220 or so.
3rd down and 7. Out of the shotgun, Montgomery remains the lone setback. Akeem Butler is flanked to the bottom of your screen. Looking for Butler, and it went right through his hands on the out pattern. Ojemudia was right there with him, and it's 4th down in a punt formation. That looked like a ball that should have been caught.
Cyclones played it safe just with the 4-man rush. The ball went through his hands, and you can see Kemp's ability to throw it. He got that right paw on it and just deflected it away. You can see just beyond the outstretched hand. Colbert got a little mitt on it.
Corey Dunn will boot it away. Nice eyes, partner. They're still good. Gronowig is back deep. This one, though, will come shorter, and a fair catch is taken after offense from their beloved Hawkeyes. They have been stymied much of the way, and I think there's grave concern here to some extent for this guy to become a bit more accurate with his passes and for his receivers to get some separation from the Iowa State defensive backs. Mekhi Sargent dots the I. Number 10 will take it. Look at that penetration from the Cyclones defensively. Now, he does manage to get past the line of scrimmage, but Bobby McMillan, 44, one of those Mike linebackers, comes in to make the tackle.
Well, Bobby McMillan just put a flash of speed in there, man. He read it and reacted and showed you he's like a dart in there, just weaving his way through to make a tackle. It's outstanding diagnosis of what they're trying to do offensively.
You know, they ran away with the game last week largely by going to the ground attack. Torrin Young and Mekhi Sargent in the second half against Northern Illinois. They were trying to pass it, but did not do so very well in the first half before winning big over the Huskies. And now more trouble. That pass is incomplete. Late flags come down. I almost thought Iowa State's Matt Leo had Stanley in the grass before he threw the ball, but we do have the flag.
That'll be in the secondary, but that doesn't negate Matt Leo's effort. Number 89 was on fire, man.
That's Greg Eisworth, number 12, the sophomore from Grand Prairie, Texas, and a good call.
Yeah, Ellsworth knows that he's given up a bunch of size to Fant, who's just like an all-world tight end. I mean, I know this is the college game. We don't talk about NFL, but let me tell you something. This kid is about as elite as it gets. They haven't had anything like him since Dallas Clark was here.
Cooper Kesselberry is our referee today. This is a Big 12 officiating crew.
Wow.
Sargent, again, just fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage and maybe ahead for a yard before being ushered out by Willie Harvey, number 2.
Yeah, but that was that same guy. Number 44, McMillan, was there showing pressure, getting in the backfield and affecting the play.
The way these home-and-home non-conference games work, generally speaking, is the away team generally has the officiating crew of choice in the contracts that are made or across the country. There are some times when that does not happen, but most of the time that's the case. In case you were wondering, 2nd and 9.
Odd front, 3 men for Iowa State. See if the quarterback can beat the coverage.
3-step drop and a quick out pattern to Fant. And at least there's some separation there. That gets the fans going a bit. He's out to the 49-yard line.
Well, that's beautiful. Lewis. That's beautiful, Tim. And that ball came out so quickly again. You see the soft coverage out here. That's what allowed you to get underneath it. The cornerback has got a shuck responsibility. He's going to let that guy go, but the flat area has to be defended from the safety. And he's got to haul, you know what, to get all the way down there quick as he can. But there's a lot of water between him and that back coming out in the flat.
A haul, you what? What was that?
Got to get there, buddy.
3rd down, a yard to go. Big play here to keep the drive going. And they get it out to the fullback, Brady Ross, following the convoy of Fant.
Same concept, different personnel.
Yep.
Moving those linemen out there, working that side of the field. They think they've got something they can do. It's that up front, the blocking, the protection is there. You can see the numbers. Everybody gets fooled on the right side of that Iowa State line. Just tremendous instinct in play calling by Brian Ferentz.
Nate Stanley, Menominee, Wisconsin, his home. We met with him yesterday. He understands how important this game is and to get his offense on track via the passing game. But this has always been and will always be under Ferentz a run-first offense. Young.
Wow.
Torrin Young inside the 40, ahead to the 35 of Iowa State. That's an 11-yard gain.
Down on the field looking at Torrin Young's body type. He's very physical. This ball is going to come back and work through here. What it really is about is ISO blocking. Everybody's got one man for each person that's on that front, and he does a nice job of compromising any would-be tackler on that other end. That's just heavy running, great footwork by Young in the little hole, the closed area there for positive yardage.
They mark it at the 36, 1st down. Young remains in the backfield. Little stretch play coming towards the boundary, and great defensive work by Mike Rose.
I'll tell you, Mike Rose did a nice job of like a heat-seeking nickel getting there from that Mike linebacker position. Watch him, number 23. You can see him working right here. He's going to eventually work his way through there and just read and react. That's all he has. No responsibility, no one blocking him. Go get him. And he did. Just showed you. Form tackle. Wanted to get that head over across the thigh, but I'm going to tell you something. It worked anyway.
Little Spencer Tillman might have broken that, you know, back in the day, or leaped over it, perhaps.
I'd have put him in my hip pocket, Timmy, I'd tell you. 2nd
down, 11 after the loss of 1. Stanley under pressure again. I think that ball was in the air. I think they're going to say his arm was moving forward, so not a fumble. The hit was by Marcel Spears, and it was a big one. I think they're ruling it a fumble on the field, however.
Well, Spears got to him, man. He got to him really quickly.
They ruled it a fumble. Jaquan Bailey recovered. Jaquan, number 3, comes away with it. Check the arm here.
Yeah, here's Spears. If it's not going forward, that's going to be ruled a fumble, and it's going to be upheld. I think it's going forward, Timmy. I do too.
I believe that this one will be, I think they'll reverse this one. I do. I believe Dean Blandino, though, can help us out, our resident expert in Los Angeles. Dean, help us out.
Yeah, this is the issue is the hand coming forward with control. And if you look at this here, watch the right hand start to come forward with control. As soon as that happens, you have a forward pass. This should be reversed to an incomplete pass.
I agree 100%. The thing is, Kirk Ferentz looks on that puts it in a little bit of jeopardy is the fact that the hand was actually touching the quarterback's arm when it started to go forward. But Dean, I think, nailed it right on.
I agree with you. It will be more than likely reversed.
Incomplete pass.
Stanley, though, has been under siege. There's a lot of push coming from right up the middle from this defensive front. And we haven't said enough about what Jon Heacock has done and what he discovered midseason last year at Iowa State in terms of going to this 3-cloud, 3-safety over the top, and what he's done with a 3 down lineman, additional linebackers, and safeties, Spencer. It's really wreaked havoc across the Big 12.
It really has, and we haven't seen a lot of it lately. Probably won't see very much of it in this game, but you're absolutely right. It was actually after this game last year is when they did it. Coach Campbell said, hey, look, our guys wore down, Timmy. They got so tired. We need to do something with the rotation to get our fresh guys in here. And they really believe they should have won that overtime game last year. But that was the inflection point last year when they started experimenting with these odd or 3-man fronts. It's very confusing. You don't know who to block. And the illusion is you've got 5 guys on your offensive line to block 3. You should be able to sort that out.
Yeah, and you know, that man, we saw Ferentz there a moment ago. He learned a thing or two about defense, even though he's an old offensive line coach. He learned a thing or two about defense from Bill Belichick when he worked for him for the Cleveland Browns in the time that he left Iowa. And Spencer, as I look back on that period in his career, that's when Belichick started changing his defenses based on who the Giants were going to play under Parcells, right?
Well, he learned something.
And then on to Cleveland he went, and anybody that worked for him on that incredible staff, Nick Saban was also on it. It's pretty incredible to learn as much as they did defensively during that era.
Well, you got to get fired one time before you learn anything, and that's exactly what happened. When he left Cleveland, that's where he changed everything. Yep.
Well, we're 1 for 1.
There you go.
Well, they put the reviews in to get it right, and they did in this case. So 3rd down and 11 coming up from the 37-yard line for Stanley.
Now, you don't mind that when a game where it's fairly close and the pace of it has been pretty good, despite the fact that there are really no spread concepts being generated here today. This has been a pretty fast-paced game. Get the call right.
Amir Smith-Marset, the speedster. Number 6, split wide to the top of your screen. Gronowig, number 14 in that slot. Iowa State with a blitz off the corner. Underneath to the fullback. Coming out. And the tackle made by Lewis.
Timmy, this is the formation they were working on when they kicked us out at practice yesterday. It was a 5-wide look, and you see the pressure is going to come from here.
Yep.
When the receiver sees that immediately, he turns that into, that's the hot read right there. Against zone coverage, he doesn't continue working out there. Tremendous tackle in open field. But the fact that the ball was completed against that front tells you that they were anticipating.
So that's Hawkinson and Brian Ferentz. Brian Ferentz, after the Hawkinson catch, has decided to go for it here on 4th and 7. Well, here's one of those analytics calls. Ooh, a quick kick.
Uh-oh, nice.
How about that? A little pooch. And it'll roll out. Excellent execution there.
I think she was scared.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go for it.
I like Stanley's boot, though. A little Doug Flutie. 28 yards. Playing old field position football, Spencer. You're going to have to explain that one, when we come back.
I know.
It's effective, but I think those Spencerisms, you might want to explain. She was scared.
That's an old Jerry Glanville coach, a great defensive coordinator back in the olden days. If you're not convinced, he used to always say, she's scared?
Yeah, so I don't think I'll go for the par 5 and 2, right?
That's right.
I'll just lay up. As you see, David Montgomery head to the 10-yard line. And now let's take you back to Los Angeles. A game break with Greg Wolf on Nebraska. A great rivalry renewed for Scott Frost to finally open his career as head coach with the Huskers. Here's Montgomery. Spun down at the point of attack by Hawkeye. This kid from Forsyth, Illinois, is outstanding. He's come on strong of late.
Yeah, Parker Hesse got a little bit of that too eventually here, but it starts back in here in this area. But watch number 42 on the back end of this. Fold that in, playing nice leverage on the backside, and then to come in and finish it off. He's going to be active today as well. Enjoyed spending time with him. He's one of the heart and soul leaders of this ball club.
3rd down and 10 coming up. Iowa State had a marvelous drive. 12 plays led to a field goal. They got it to the 1. Had a false start, which forced them to kick a field goal. But the Iowa Hawkeyes defense has stymied them since. Out of the shotgun, Kemp's pass is caught. That's Matthew Eaton, 23. Stopped at the 15-yard line by O.J. Mudia. O.J. Mudia, very effective corner for this Iowa Hawkeyes team.
You know, a lot of times you can see what teams are ultimately going to do by the ball being snapped. They're going to ultimately declare what their intentions are. They roll to a single safety look, which basically tells you they got 8 under. They're trying to not let something get past them. Great defensive strategy is working so far. Now you got to punt it away.
Gronowig is back deep. Dunn, who had a very poor 14-yarder earlier, this time has it go off his foot yet again.
Boy, he's making this defense work too hard.
Yeah, he is. That's 2 shanks for Corey Dunn, who averaged over 40 yards as a freshman at the City of College of San Francisco. Oh boy, that is not good. Fox College Football is presented by the all-new, totally remixed Volkswagen Jetta. A picture of consistency here at Iowa Kirk Ferentz, and Holly has more on his patience, right, Holly?
Yeah, Tim. You mentioned at the top of the show that last week's win for Iowa over Northern Illinois was a very special one for Kirk Ferentz. Well, it's because it was number 144, helping him pass his predecessor Hayden Fry for most all-time wins at Iowa. Pretty special. So how did he celebrate? He said he was going to splurge with an extra scoop of ice cream. Just really cut loose, guys. We also found out that he never made it to the ice cream shop. Maybe later tonight, Tim.
Somehow I always manage to get my ice cream when I'm told I need it and deserve it. There's Torrin Young, stopped by DeAndre Payne.
I think they settle on making it to the end zone right now. That'd be enough.
Yep. Well, really, no offense midway through this second quarter. Iowa State's 84 total yards. Iowa just 49 total yards prior to that snap. And remember, no Ivory Kelly Martin because of the injury, and that hurts them a little bit, particularly in the passing game with their running backs. Torrin Young ahead, although he did have 84 yards on 8 carries a week ago. Eisworth, number 12, making the tackle, and it's a first down for Iowa.
Well, Ellsworth is coming from that deep, strong safety position. Boy, he just shot through there. He's been active on a couple of plays, and you got to be fierce if you're coming from depth to make a play and run force. And Greg Ellsworth has been there twice. He came to play today.
From the 19-yard line. Hawkinson in motion, play fake, flooding the zone, and it's Hawkinson. He went in motion, came back the other way as a safety valve, and Lawrence White, number 11, made the tackle, a gain of 6.
Well, the safety was on the play side. Ellsworth that comes this way. That was the guy that got beat on the play. It came back the opposite direction, went right past him. Nice job of reading it. Touch on the ball allows the big back to make a nice play.
Eisworth did come with some pressure there late. That's the first time they've entered the red zone today, Iowa. Young remains the setback. Fant down at the bottom of your screen, 87. This is his country right here.
Oh,
ball
nice.
was tipped into the air by Spears, and it's incomplete. Got his big mid up there. Pass was intended for Hawkinson.
Spears living true to his name. 42 spears that ball and pokes it. Gets that right hand on it. Deflects it away. Almost still made a great catch. It's nice defense right there. Doesn't get any better.
They use so many tight ends. Both of these programs, too. You'll see Byer, Fant, Hawkinson, Nate Weeding, 39. Stanley with 4. straight completions until that one went awry off the tip. 3rd down and 4.
Wow.
Nothing doing for Torrin Young. Lawrence White comes up with some run support, and it's a field goal try yet again. One has been missed already today by Miguel Recinos.
Well, 2 errant punt opportunities gives Iowa excellent field position. Not able to come away with points on the first one. This one here yet to be decided. But
what a defense by Iowa State.
Unbelievable, man.
Both of these defenses dominating this game. Corey Dunn has had one punt of 14 yards, and that last one was 13. And to this point, Iowa has not taken advantage of it. And just late, they get a little bit of a draw, and he gets it through. And we've tied the game at 3, a 31-yard boot. All right, Stoner, thank you. Here's your new offense at Michigan. Give the ball to Karan Higdon. Let him go.
And let him go,
and
man.
Tote it. Fun game, I know, for our friends. DeMarco Murray, who's joined up with Petros Papadakis and Justin Kutcher earlier today. I know they had a great time at the Big House. Well, that's a touchback. And it'll be 1st and 10 when we come back. It's time now for our turbocharged players, sponsored by Volkswagen. These two are rarely seen in slow motion. Look at that.
Outstanding numbers. And again, you look at the running back comparison, 10 rushes, 31 yards. It's almost dead even. About 0.7 percentage points between the average, no touchdowns. So this has just been a dogfight, man. Defense, a couple of errant punts, keeping Iowa in this game.
Iowa has run 25 plays for only 64 total yards. But Iowa State, thought to be a much more dynamic offense, has also been stopped in their tracks. Outstanding defense here with a late flag in the backfield. Montgomery wrestled down, thrown in an area where you'd think holding would be the call. Amani Hooker and Parker Hesse combine for the stop. Chase Allen, the tight end, the guilty party. We touched on the possessions. That was a wonderful drive of 13 plays. Were it not for the false start, Iowa State was trying to go in on a 4th down play, and then they settled for the 3, but punt after that.
Trying to get into a play that he likes. He's seeing it late. Good thing that they got on the ball early. Uh-oh.
Yeah, had some problems there. Ball was Chase Allen.
Yeah, he was trying to motion strong and got the ball actually hit him on his hip, Tim, as he was crossing the formation.
Right.
But unfortunately, there was delay of game before they got to that point. Or fortunately for Iowa State.
Fans did not like that.
Wow.
And it is a break. We'll be right back. Dodging a very critical mistake right there. Matt Campbell's team. They did get the timeout, their first. I mean, first down and 20 now.
Timmy, they're really lucky, backed up where they are, that ball.
No, could have been a turnover easily. Montgomery remains the lone setback. 3 wides. Boy, look at that penetration by Hesse. And he reverses his field. Now, a normal back would have been stopped 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. As it is, Jake Gervais, number 30, the free safety, makes the stop after a negligible gain.
Well, it was a great move. And again, the bottom line, he's going to come here, but the pressure is going to come from depth. You're going to see the late pressure here. And then from the safety position, they come down and fill all the voids. That's what you're supposed to do. Allow those front 7 or 8 guys to make the tackle, and you fill in the gaps.
Sheldon Croney is now checked in to spell David Montgomery. 2nd and 20. Plenty of time for Kemp.
Nice.
Crossing pattern, and it's caught.
You know, Tim, sometimes when you're running games up front, it actually creates opportunities. When you get games and deals and you got twins looking formation, these guys are going to try to get inside underneath that coverage. It's about finding those windows, and that window was created by a gain between the nose and the tackle. When they swapped, a big gap opened up, and Kemp was able to throw that ball right through it.
Tariq Milton with his first grab, 15 yards. And Montgomery back in the game on 3rd down 5. See the numbers on Kemp.
Yeah, so this guy's cutting down his splits right here. We'll see if they go run out of this formation.
Milton in motion.
Nice job.
It comes right back to him. It's a 1st down. Out to the 42-yard line. Matt Hankins, number 8, making the stop, a 12-yard pickup.
Looks like they're going pace and tempo now as Coach Ferentz trying to see if his guys have a solution.
Clock really not a factor with over 3 minutes remaining and a couple of timeouts left. Anthony Nelson with the stop, and it'll be 2nd down.
But they're treating this like a 2-minute drill here. They're trying to get it off as fast as they possibly can. 4-wide concept here. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a shot, Tim, versus a 4-man front.
Well, you're in a good spot to do it. You're right. 2nd and 7 with Montgomery in the backfield. You got to honor him if you're the Iowa defense. Kemp under pressure and dumped. That delayed blitz again, Spence. This time Matt Nelson gets through. He actually broke through off of an initial block.
The nose is right here, 96. You're going to watch him again. We put it in motion, and they've got an even front. Just the arm over move to get to the quarterback. That's just overpowering a guy. He does a nice job of getting to the quarterback. Never saw him coming. That's just good mano-a-mano football against an even front. 4 men being the even number. Got to win that battle, and they did.
Well, Julian Good-Jones got schooled that time by Nelson, whose parents are Iowa State grads, and yet he spurned the Cyclones to play for the Hawkeyes.
That's a tough house.
Timeout, Cyclones. Time now for a game break. A very active Greg Wolf in Los Angeles. Well, they needed it, Greg, because they lost to Nicholls State from tiny Thibodaux, Louisiana at home a week ago. Now, David Beatty really needed to get that victory for better quality of life in Lawrence. You know, they got a new athletic director there. Our old friend Jeff Long has taken over, former AD at Arkansas.
And they won their opener last year, but then followed up 11 straight losses. It has been nothing but futility. They needed some help.
Congratulations to the Jayhawks.
Yep.
3rd down 16 here for Iowa State. That's Akers in motion, 82. Come back with Montgomery, nothing doing. Fooled no one there. Jaimin Colbert and A.J. Epinesa.
Well, there's just so much integrity being played that allow Colbert to even get in that play with the end guys on the line of scrimmage. Timmy, it's been an adventure for the punters today. Corey Dunn trying to get this one out there, the rugby style. Doesn't get exactly what he wanted on it. Situation here similar. Shanks this one to the right. Gives Iowa great field position. They might think about getting another number other than 13. Man.
I'll tell you, he's generally thought of, though, as a really outstanding punter. Just a tough day today with 2 shanks out of Australia. Can kick that end over ender. And this time he gets all of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's more like it. Yep. And it goes out of bounds inside the 10.
Redemption.
I guess he knew he needed redemption from our producer, Jake Jolivet.
He called it, man.
A 58-yard boot. And he gives us a quality golf clap afterwards.
Good punt, mate.
Those.
Good punt, mate.
So many of them are coming out of that country. And what a difference makers. They're difference makers in the game. You know, you can say a lot of times, especially in possession games like this one, Spencer, most valuable player could be your punter.
It could be, and how ironic that this game is shaping up the way that it has for the first half after the scoring fest that decided his overtime decision last year. This is unbelievable.
That last boot was 58. His previous 2 were a combined 27 yards. Mekhi Sargent, number 10, is the tailback. Hawkinson back there blocking for him, and he's ahead to about the 8, maybe 9-yard line. Lima with the tackle, a gain of 2. Well, coming up on the State Farm halftime show, Rob Stone, Matt Leinart, Robert Smith, and Dave Wanstadt will be telling you all about these major stories. And Jonathan Taylor, outstanding running back for Wisconsin. In addition, Leinart, is on the edge of.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's got Stanford to deal with tonight.
Oh, yeah.
The men of Troy. A game that you'll see immediately following our game here on Fox. A triple hitter day here on Fox Sports.
Some pretty good running backs this year in the Heisman race.
Indeed. Stanley hands off to Sargent again. Boy, that's an active defense, isn't it? Mike Rose has been everywhere. 23 in white has been absolutely all over the place.
I can see it, but I just want you to listen to it. Back in the schoolyard, we used to say hit him like he owed him money. Wow. You don't think this is the physical game? Tell these guys are coming hell-bent for election.
3rd down and 6 coming up, and now Iowa, of course, is thinking about getting the ball back, and it gives us time for the first edition, on the air anyway, of Saunders Wonders.
Oh.
So, Holly decided to lay out during her Saunders Wonders feature there. It happens. I laid out most of last week, actually.
You did. We never got started, actually.
I got a review as one of the best touchbacks I ever called in my life last week. 3rd down and 6. Young ahead to the 15. Greg Eisworth making the stop, number 12.
Eisworth has been active, and that can be good and bad if you're coming from that safety position. You find yourself making a lot of tackles. That means that first wave, they're getting past you. But I still think with Lima and company, they've acquitted themselves well on that defensive front.
We're tied at 3, and frankly, it's as close as we thought, but maybe a little more defensive-oriented than we had originally thought. That's the score. Let's send you to Rob Stone in Los Angeles, the State Farm halftime show. Rob, take it away.
Turnovers, and it's noteworthy. Again, we know last year turned it out to be a shootout, but if they stay to form, it ends up being a low-scoring game. The turnovers could be the difference in this one.
Kene Nwangwu is back deep, and he calls for the fair catch as it goes through for a touchback. And the Cyclones will begin first down after that. Holly had a chance to visit with the coaches at halftime.
Yeah, Tim, I talked to Coach Ferentz about their paltry 73 yards of total offense in the first half. He said that they have to get their guys up front going better. They have to block better. It's been too sporadic. I also asked Coach Campbell about their offensive effort. He said that he thought they did a nice job weathering the storm in the first half, but they need to win on first down. They have to. It's their Achilles heel. That's what it has been, Tim.
Holly, that's a great point Holly's making. If they win on first and second down, they can get some of those vertical routes they've been talked out of because they're struggling.
Kent, a little curl pattern. They finally get Hakeem Butler involved. First catch for him, and really not targeted that often. They missed him in the end zone early, you might recall, in that 66-yard drive that ended in a field goal. Matt Hankins with the stop, 2nd down and 4.
If they can get 2 more yards on first down, 5 or 6 yards, then they put Iowa in a run-pass conflict. That's when they can go 4 verts and throw the ball.
Actually a gain of 4. It's 2nd and 6, and Butler is down at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, he's looking for an ideal pass play to make it work.
He's working on Hankins, and he's got a big advantage against him. That time the pass is airmailed. I think at halftime they decided, you know what, 18 is pretty good. We need to find him a little more often in the second half.
Yeah, but what they're trying to do right now is discern exactly what Iowa is committed to. And I think what they're going to try to do, maybe when they get in the next favorable situation where it's 2nd and maybe 3 or 4 where you're not quite sure if they're going to pass or run, they may take a shot downfield.
Most of those 88 yards on 8 of 12 came in that opening drive that led to the field goal once they were stopped at the 1 with a false start.
Tim, they're committed to getting into a pass play that's going to work. Let's watch the combination routes through here. Something like that can work extremely well against this off coverage.
3rd down 6. Kemp underneath to Montgomery. Nothing doing. Well defended. Stopped by Jaimon Colbert, 32, the freshman.
There's no remedy for good defense. You know, you play in tight coverage against a team. This is their MO. This is what Iowa does. They play it safe to some degree, but there's something to be said for it when you're successful.
In a game of dynamic offenses, this has been a back-to-the-future contest to this point.
It really is a throwback.
It is. Corey Dunn will boot it away. Had the 57-yarder his last try and 2 abysmal punts prior to that. And this one, another one shanked.
Good goodness.
It does stay in bounds. It gets a slight bounce in Iowa State's favor. 35 yards, but it was an ugly-looking punt. Good field position for the Hawkeyes as they open up at the 34-yard line.
The guy's getting a little chippy down there, too.
Listen, this is a series that has always been big in Iowa, but I dare say now with Iowa State's street cred, we'll call it that, right? After beating Oklahoma a year ago and following that up with a win over an undefeated TCU, Gary Patterson's club, they got swagger now. Matt Campbell has brought that to this program in just 3 years.
He had some really quality things to say about leadership. Hopefully we can get that in before the evening's end.
Torrin Young is the setback. Again, a reminder, Ivory Kelly-Martin unavailable. Ankle injury a week ago. And there's a nice cutback by Young. Torrin Young a first down. Pickup of 11. Braxton Lewis 33 with the tackle.
Well, you pay the price when you come into a little corner blitz off that weak side. And again, we'll put it in motion and show you exactly what happens. When number 2 comes into your screen right here, he gets a little bit nosy, trying to play contain, runs right past him. Got to play assignment football, be instinctive. Sometimes your assignment takes you away from what is natural. Be a football player, make a play.
That was Willie Harvey that whiffed. Number 2 for Iowa State. Hawkinson is the H-back. Blocking here and another cutback. Not as much room this time for Torrin Young as he runs into Mike Rose.
That was Mike Rose again, shedding, man, and making a great tackle. A lot of times when you got heavy offensive linemen that you got to release from, Mike Rose just did a nice job of shedding the guy that was almost 300 pounds away from him to make that play inside. That's big-time football right there now.
Well, this is an Iowa State team without Joel Lanning, as you recall, a team leader, former quarterback, became a linebacker, now in the big leagues playing the game. Boy, he left quite a legacy, and so far these young Iowa State linebackers doing the job. Safety valve. Hawkinson again. Stopped. And again, a little woofing after that tackle.
As Eisworth was back into that strong safety. He's been active, Tim. You've pointed him out a number of times. You can see him. Again, look at how many active bodies. There are 3 immediately right there. Eisworth does the great job of lifting him up off his feet. And you got a couple of Cyclones spinning around him, finishing off the job. Man, that's intentional. And Mike Rose comes in there with a little bit of authority to finish it off.
There are a few farms that have some takedowns like that nearby.
I love it, man. That's what all those wrestling move things were in our hotel room. We saw
little quick comebacker and caught. On the receiving end, Max Cooper, sophomore. And he gets ahead to the 49-yard line, just into Iowa State territory. But a punt formation coming up, well short of the first down.
Another successful defense by this impressive, very athletic Iowa State defense. Now we're playing the field position battle.
Tariq Milton is the safety, single safety, waiting at the 10-yard line as Colton Rastetter prepares to punt it away.
Got a directional kick over here to the left. Let's see if they make him work to go get it. Yep.
Again, a beautiful punt and lands just the way that Kirk Ferentz was in search of and couldn't get to after he passed Hayden Fry a week ago as the winningest coach in Iowa history. Cyclones have it from their own 9 after the beautiful punt by Rastetter, the Guttenberg native. Got my friend Jim Reiser, my neighbor who's from Iowa, making sure I get the cities right. Quick out, caught by Matthew Eaton. And he is, boy, you talk about a group of Hawkeyes all arriving in a bad humor. That's what you saw right there. And Amani Hooker led the way.
It was last week they scored on a play that looked similar to that. Butler was working, and then Eaton got the ball to him out in space, and he hit his head on the goalpost. So it's all about getting the guys in a position to make a play.
2nd and 6.
Iowa's shorthanded on this side over here.
Eaton in motion. Montgomery.
Boy, they're so sound.
Boy, they are so keyed in on number 32. That game plan Phil Parker had in mind, the longtime defensive coordinator here, and they have been up to the task. And this crowd is really getting into it.
Yeah, Amani Hooker just fitted in there like a glove. You know, a lot of times, even when the formation tells you they're shorthanded to a side, those guys know where they're ultimately supposed to be. And Amani Hooker, the strong safety, just filled brilliantly on that last play.
This building is everything and then some I anticipated. 3rd and 5. Out of the shotgun, pressure off the edge. Incomplete. Almost picked off, and a late flag comes down. I wonder if we have a little roughing coming up here. We'll see. Or it could be holding, one of the two. Hawkeye knocked that one away. 48. Yep. That's Bryce Meeker, 74, the right tackle from Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, when the guy gets, the rusher gets parallel to you in that situation, Timmy, you're in trouble. Nelson, the defensive end, was working, dipped that shoulder and got underneath him. Anthony just blew past him, and there's nothing you can do about that. You don't want your quarterback, who you know is not necessarily a mobile guy.
He's a sack master, Nelson. He had 9.5 a year ago to lead the way. And the adventure that is punting this time turns out positively for Dunn. Here comes Kyle Gronowig. Oh, was he hit? Man, that was head on. A Cyclone going right into a Hawkeye.
The travel back because of the racial context of the times, but later died, unfortunately, from his injury.
He was on a train trying to make his way back after that injury. Amir Smith-Marset, the intended receiver, that one falls incomplete.
What a great narrative, though, and this place is filled with great stories like that, and of course at Ames, and here.
This stadium is just, this is my first trip here. I make no bones about it. I was giddy when we got this assignment. All the years in this business, I'd never called one of Kirk Ferentz's games. I've known him for 30 years. I've been here to Carver Hawkeye Arena for hoops, but Spencer, this thing is as advertised. One of the great settings for college football, and intimate too. The crowd is right on top of you, sort of a college football version of Wrigley Field. Stanley over the middle. Amir Smith-Marset. How do you do?
Just about ready to say it'll even be more exciting if we can get some explosive plays, and it delivered right there. Lawrence White, the free safety, number 11, was back covering in coverage in a two-deep look. And the big prototype, on again, off again. Quarterback finds him open. You can see it's just a post route. White gets turned inside. That Bart is thrown on a rope, believe it or not. Usually that ball has a lot more air underneath it. Tremendous effort by delivering that one.
45 yards on the reception. Sargent.
Holding.
Yep, marker is down as he's taken out of bounds by Eisworth. By the way, the previous 31 plays before that catch by Amir Smith-Marset, they had 90 yards of offense, and on one play they got 45. Now this is one of those that really bothers the offensive coordinator and former center and guard Brian Ferentz. Something it's always been there, but now it's really a focus of officials during the offseason, not allowing those blocks below the waist.
Yep. I think the greater point, Timmy, here is the fact that these last two plays are a microcosm of what this offense has been like over the last year. On again, off again. Great big downfield catch, and then you come right back with a negative play.
Out of the shotgun, Stanley finds Hawkinson, who's been very effective both as a blocker and a receiver. Stopped at the 35. Still the line to make all the way down to the 15-yard line.
Well, I think this is where the penalty is going to come from. You got a tag block.
Yeah.
Again, it's a chop block. When you got a guy engaged, number one, you can't do it, but you can't hit him from the side if he is engaged. If you're in that 5-yard window either side, you can engage the guy, but you can't go below the waist and the knee when he's engaged with another blocker.
2nd down and 20. Haven't heard from Nick Easley today. 84 in the slot to the bottom of your screen. Fant at the bottom. And he's looking that way. Checks off and goes underneath to Kyle Gronowig, who impressed you. His hands, his tenacity. This is a youngster that transferred from the University of Sioux Falls, they say we didn't get him the first time they recruited him, but did manage to pick him up the second time around.
Well, Stanley's going through his progressions. You can see the eyes flash to the front side. He's going to come back down after there's nothing there and then finds him on the shallow crossing route. The thing that I looked when I saw him yesterday at practice, he's sneaky good. Excellent route runner, unbelievable hands, and probably more athletic than most people think a young player would be.
3rd down and 15. Young and Sargent now. Twin backfield. Little help for protection's sake. That pass is almost picked off. Brian Peavy was right there with the intended receiver, Gronowig. And it's a 4th down and 15.
Going back to the hole once again, if you can find your guy off coverage here, it's a nice little inside camp move playing through to the quarterback, so you easily can come underneath that, but the pressure is what precipitated the coverage. It was almost like it was on a rope. That's just a great defensive play.
They are going to go for the field goal, a 47-yarder. At first glance, I thought they might be punting it away, but they are going to see if Miguel Rancinos can put this one in from 48 yards. His longest of 2017 was from this distance.
Uh-oh.
An equalizer?
No.
Yes, you betcha.
Got it. Wow.
You sort of talked it in there, didn't you? Maybe, could be.
English.
I know what you were thinking. Possibly the crossbar unkind, but no. He got it through. Hawkeyes lead it by 3. Programs in 2 different conferences have had completely different journeys in Division I college football through the years, and we'll get on that a bit more as time will allow. Here's Groney ahead to the 26-yard line as Chauncey Golston makes the stop, and it's time now for another game break. Greg Wolf in Los Angeles. All right, thanks, Greg. That's a team you can keep an eye on from a scheduling standpoint, in a position to perhaps challenge Oklahoma in the Big 12. Hakeem Butler reels in that aerial from Kyle Kemp, stopped by Hankins. And it's 3rd down and short yardage. We'll call it just under 1 yard.
Trying to go tempo here, see if they can catch him.
I think they're going to give him forward progress enough to make it. Nick Neiman pushing him back. Very close, but I do think he got the proper mark, and it is a 1st down.
See if they can get it. Here's the line of scrimmage here. He's going to just try to get his nose in there and get square.
Yep.
I think he's clearly past it, half his body.
When you think about Iowa State through the years and going all the way back to Johnny Majors before he went to Pitt, you see some premature movement, but quickly getting back.
He can move. He can get back.
Yep. Epinesa did get back. Whether that led to a false start, I don't know. The White Hat did see a flag thrown down. Now they're going to have a discussion about it.
Sean Foster actually touched him, and and he moved, so he can get back on defense as long as the ball hadn't been snapped. I think they're going to catch Sean Foster with a procedure penalty here.
By the way, our crew ran into Cooper Castleberry, the White Hat.
Wow. And
I saw some of the guys, the line judge and the field judge, before the game. He was as excited to be here today as he was as excited as we were to be here, because, you know, when you're in one league, you generally don't get a chance to come to a Big Ten location.
Epineza's right here, Timmy. Sorry to cut you off there, but partner, but that's what they get him for. Right. And I think he gets back online. I have to go back and say, once again.
You think it got a little touchy there?
The tackle when it touched him. He has every right to get back on the opposite side of the ball.
So it's 1st down and 5 after the penalty. A little explanation. And I think that was exactly what Coach Ferens was talking about. But he got the clarification needed. Montgomery remains the setback, and out of the shotgun, there comes that push again from that interior forward wall. He'll be about a yard shy of the 1st down, it would appear. We may need earlier whistles as the game goes on.
No question. It started right at the half. Just before the half, it started getting a little bit chippy, and you start getting these questionable calls. That's when guys start getting a little bit edge to them. And
by the way, that guy was a great competitor at Mount Union. Talk about an outstanding program at the Division III level. Second and inches, Matt Campbell looks on, and they go wide receiver screen, and it's taken by Tariq Milton, and he's got a first down. He's out to the 47, maybe the 48-yard line.
Monty Hooker, then Johnny on the spot. He's been active back there, particularly on those wide screens, looking for a jailhouse break. That's what they got early in the truncated game. Saw a big-time play.
How about that record when you're 54-1 as a player? It was always Mount Union and Wisconsin Whitewater in the Division III title game.
How about that? 54-1 as a player. That's pretty strong, man.
Coached at Toledo. In fact, he won a big game in the aftermath of having a canceled game at Toledo in his final year there before coming to Iowa State. Kempt, plenty of time, and finally flushed. Down he goes. That's a coverage sack. Got to give a lot of credit to the secondary. Epinesa comes away with a sack, but that back end from Iowa did the job.
Yeah,
here.
It was an inside game, too, here. Epinesa, you can see him coming around the opposite side. That's what caused it. A.J. Epinesa did what we call a nose tackle stunt. He came open. It was late. The coverage was there, but did a fantastic job trying to find him. His eyes are looking downfield, but again, he sees the color flash, Nelson in front of him, Epinesa on the opposite side on the delay. It's tough to get outside of that, man.
Third sack for minus 25 yards for the Iowa defense.
Another late blitz by the safety.
On the curl, it's caught.
Good job.
Just inside midfield at the 49. Landon Akers on the receiving end. Cedar Rapids, Washington High School. Redshirt sophomore with an 11-yard pickup. Third down and 6. Butler checks back into the game, 18, the wide receiver.
Keep an eye on Kemp. Looked like he was kind of hopping around there for a second.
He came down on that ankle, I think, gingerly, after that sack a moment ago by Epinesa. In traffic and caught. Yeah, but shy of the first down, 2 yards shy to Chase Allen, the tight end.
Well, Chase Allen made a great hands catch. One of the things is Kemp kind of limps around there. That ball was on a rope.
You're right, Spencer.
Yeah,
he's
really
hurting.
Man. He's hurting. I'm surprised that they didn't try to pressure him. You can see off coverage here. I would be playing press coverage in this situation. Sitting down, finding little spots in that void. Let me tell you, there was no room for error. But that was one of the things Coach Campbell says is about his game that's impressive. He's extremely accurate.
Fourth and a long one coming up, and I think he needs some time off.
Yep.
Kemp needs to get to the sideline quickly.
He's shaking his head a little bit. Nothing demonstrative, but he's definitely indicating that he needs to look-see.
It's not a lot of movement there. Maybe about where they spotted the ball. I think they're going to take a look at the spot here, Spencer.
Yeah, they think it's a first down, and it very well may be as Coach Ferentz looks on.
Hard to ever see an overrule, though, on a spot.
Yep.
Not that it doesn't happen, but it rarely does occur. Let's check out again. Remember that line. The yellow line is unofficial. Had it
where he comes down. I mean, he's obviously pushed back, but
it's where you can.
You know what? He may be, Tim, if you freeze it right there,
yep.
If they declare that he's got that ball caught in his hands,
yeah,
and then he's pushed back,
and it is supposed to be where you caught the ball.
I'd love to get Dean's opinion on that.
Dean Blandino will help us with this. What do you think, Dean?
Yeah, so there's two things. They've got to establish control first, and then where is forward progress? When that defender first makes contact with the receiver and drives him back, it looks like the control occurs right at the 42, but when the contact occurs, is it just shy of the line to gain? It's really close, and without a look down the line, these are tough to change.
I've only seen it happen one time, and it was last year in one of our games, where we saw a reversal.
Overturned.
Yeah, it was overturned. This one's going to be tough, though.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and I'd say it. Yep.
Just as we thought. So it's a long 1 yard to go. My concern is for Kyle Kempt at this stage. How that ankle of his is going. It looks like Zeb Nolan 4. The backup quarterback is beginning to warm. The youngster from Watkinsville, Georgia. Redshirt sophomore.
And let's take a look at the play again, Tim, and see if we can figure out exactly what's going on.
The ankle.
You can see the left ankle gets rolled under. And it's an inside roll, so that's a tough one, man. It's very difficult. And Kemp kind of winces there, turns the head to the side. He's going to stay in there. The captain, under pressure, is going to find a way to make it happen.
Montgomery, the lone setback.
They got 5 men on that line of scrimmage. Here comes the pressure. Look.
Oh, nice read defensively. No flag intended for Hakeem Butler. Really well defended. Iowa's defense stiffens again, and they'll take over when we come back. Ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage by Hesse. Outstanding back, and you see they're working on the quarterback who injured himself, Kyle Kempt, in that last sequence. We'll see what happens when they get the ball back. But for now, it's first down with Torrin Young in the backfield after the turnover on downs. Young forges ahead to the 45-yard line. And Smith Marset, we should also mention, is sitting along over the sidelines. It may be his shoulder after this big catch that he made for 45 yards. It eventually would lead to 3 after the penalty on the following play, and it looks like his shoulder pads are off for Iowa. And you see him grimacing and holding that left shoulder after the tackle by Lawrence White was made.
A lot of times when the guys are going down, they're in the grass, they really can't break their fall with the free hand, so they fall dead on their shoulders.
Second down and 7. Fant giving motion.
No contain.
Stanley with plenty of time, looping it deep for Easley, incomplete.
Wow.
Well, that was well set up. DeAndre Payne was back there. He just unloaded it a little too far for Easley to catch up to.
Yeah, Brian Ferentz was going for that one, hella high water. But I tell you what you need to be able to do as a quarterback against this man bail coverage technique. He can see it, but the issue is the quarterback could have easily pulled that ball down and run and hit his head on the goalpost. The outside contain was not even in existence, had committed to the rush. A missed opportunity.
Hawkeyes 2 out of 10 on third downs. Stanley now 10 out of 19, just 88 yards. As we mentioned at the top of the show, has not gone for 200+ yards since that big win over Ohio State here a year ago. Rifles this one to Fant. Should be the line to make for a first down as he brings it in front of Willie Harvey.
Willie Harvey playing in that Sam coverage. Did a nice job of coming late, but not before Fant got that stealth, tall 6'5" frame as a tight end. He's a glorified wide receiver.
And going to be a fantastic tight end at the next level if he continues to play there. Young inside the 45. Going back to Fant, a magnificent route runner as a tight end.
Enjoy talking to him. You can see him on the inside here, Tim. When he goes, he pushes up. He gets a defensive back. You can see him create separation here with a nice little shove off. He's tall, 6'5", but he goes about 240, 250. He's pretty athletic. And you look at the vertical jump right here. This is what the guys did at the NFL Combine. This is what he did, right?
I'd say he's got a future, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Mekhi Sargent darts and dances, looks for space, finally dragged down. Beautiful running there. 11 yards and a first down.
Sargent showing some tenacious running ability here. Does a nice job of just being physical and tenacious. This is Iowa football at its best.
Volkswagen Jetta. Kirk Ferentz's club is only up by 3. But Spencer Tillman, as we open the fourth quarter, this is an offense that is opening up a little bit. And if they could get a touchdown, you would think with the way their defense is playing, they're going to be in great shape.
Iowa's on the run. You know, that's 76 yards in the first half. They've got 96 in the quarter just completed in the third. So they're tripling the amount of the passing department along. That's where they've made their significant gains in this quarter.
First play of the quarter. And Mekhi Sargent gets ahead for about a yard, maybe 2. Braxton Lewis, 33, making the stop. They'll call it just a 1-yard gain as he was ushered out. Second down and 9. The willingness to open it up, even though Amir Smith-Marset apparently injured his shoulder on that 45-yard catch, is at least something that the Iowa State perimeter's got to be thinking about. Easley remains in the game. Fant has made 3 big catches, one on this series.
Yes, partner, Easley is the guy that they've got to be concerned about. He's the home run hit. A single safety look right here tells you that they're going to play more man-type concepts, at least to the field.
Play clock down to 1, but they do get it off for Easley, and he became more of a defender that time as DeAndre Payne was locked in on it, number 1, and Easley became a cornerback here.
Yeah, and again, great coverage by Payne, playing man coverage, turning and locating the ball and owning it as much as the receiver. Easley had to become a defender on that play. Well, Payne, along with Peavy on the opposite side, those are 2 shutdown corners, in my opinion, 2 elite corners in this conference.
Max Cooper, number 19, checks back into the game. He was targeted once earlier. Brandon Smith is up at the top of your screen. 3rd down and 9. Stanley underneath for Easley, incomplete.
Wow.
He just missed him there. Overshot it. He was in position to make the catch. That's just an inaccurate throw by the veteran Nate Stanley.
When you talked to him yesterday about accuracy, the thing that he can improve, that was just it. You know, it was about the accuracy, the inability. He had a wide open man there. That ball was low in the ground, hit him. Receiver didn't have a chance to catch the ball. Big quarterback like that with a strong arm needs to make that play. We talked about it at the top of the show, Tim. It's about consistency at the quarterback position.
Here's Racinos. Now his longest is 48. He matched that earlier today. Here he is from 50. This one is wide to the right. Had enough leg, but wide right. So the Hawkeyes with another opportunity gone awry. It does appear Zeb Noland will be the quarterback for the Cyclones after the injury to Kyle Kempt. But more on that when we return to Iowa City. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Holly Saunders. You're looking at Zeb Noland, redshirt sophomore, Watkinsville, Georgia. His dad, Travis, played quarterback at Appalachian State. So, young man that comes from a very athletic family, forced into duty after the injury to Kempt. Nice idea always to hand it off to David Montgomery, who gets ahead to the 35-yard line. Hockaday with the stop, and with more on this young man, let's go down to Holly.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, the latest here on the sidelines. I've been watching him very closely. He's walking gingerly on his left leg. He's up and about. He was part of that last huddle, but you can see they taped his left leg up really, really well. He's taped all the way from the hamstring up to his thigh. So not going to speculate as to exactly what kind of injury that is yet. You can see the tape, but he can barely put any pressure on it, Tim.
Yeah, you can also see he was asking to go in, and the trainers were saying, no, you can't go.
Yeah, that's a disappointing moment because he's waited so long, got the 6-year medical red shirt, thought he would play. Unfortunate.
Let's hope that it's nothing serious. This pass thrown towards the back shoulder of Eaton, but airmailed incomplete. Back in coverage was O.J. Mudia, number 11 for Iowa.
I know Zeb Noland, I remember last year against Oklahoma State, he spelled Kempt in the second quarter, came in, ended up with like 260-plus yards. He did a nice job. But again, the only other start he had was against Baylor. That was a win, but not in this situation has he been on the stage this big.
Live arm.
Yep.
He was able to find Hakeem Butler on a 67-yard toss, so he's got.
Well, he's getting ready to let it go here now against 5 wides. They're going 4 verts against a perfect look, a single safety with 1 down. Let's see if they can protect long enough.
He gets it to his tight end, Chase Allen, but looks to be short. Ooh, how about that mark? No, he got a very positive
generous
mark. Yes, a very positive mark.
I still think he's short.
I don't know. They're giving it to him. That was a good right foot mark, and the fans not happy about it here at Kinnick Stadium.
Let's see if they catch him whining about it.
ISU with its best starting field position of the day. They started this at their own 32. Montgomery gets free with a flag behind him. The flag is back at the 43-yard line. Stopped by Jaimin Colbert, 32. Sean Foster, the guilty party.
And here's the previous play, Timmy. There's the first down line right there. Let's see if he makes it. He's got his left foot. Man, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that was generous.
That was very generous.
Yeah, it was.
Put a bow on that, man.
Iowa State's first drive. Remember when they got it down to the 1, had to settle for 3 after the false start? 66 yards on 12 plays. Their last 8 drives have netted 87 yards. That's including this current drive right now. Iowa's defense has been suffocating for Phil Parker, the longtime defensive coordinator.
And they're getting more confident all the time. Again, another single safety look means 8 is down.
Nolan's pass complete to Eaton. And Matthew Eaton beyond the 40. They'll mark it at the 41. Hankins takes him out of bounds.
If Iowa stays in this same type coverage, what Iowa State is going to try to do, as Coach Butler looks on, is try to beat them with man coverage. Somebody's going to have to win an individual battle. Here's the single safety look right here. Everybody's going to be manned up on the outside here. This is a mismatch waiting to happen. You can hold this guy if you put the tight end there. It's an opportunity if Iowa State can seize it and protect long enough.
2nd and 11. Quick curl caught by Allen. So they're going underneath. These are high percentage completions. Amani Hooker making the tackle. Pickup of 6 on the play. 3rd down and 5.
Well, Phil Parker at some point has got to make a decision as they keep getting these 5- and 7-yard plays. He's got to find a way to affect it. And to this point, it's been bringing another defender down.
That pass is woefully underthrown under some pressure. Akeem Butler, the intended receiver. And it's 4th down.
Coach Campbell's want to take a shot, and he's hoping Nolan can do it for him. Big call here, Timmy.
Yeah, they're going to punt it away.
Yep.
Play field position. You know, the one thing that hasn't happened today is that big turnover. You begin to think, A, overtime is in play.
Right.
B, an overtime might win this game for one team or the other.
Well, both teams said they're comfortable playing the way they need to play. If you remember, Brian Ferentz said 0 turnovers today. Comes in to be a significant part of this game.
Corey Dunn boots it away from his 37. High towards Gronowig, and it'll go out of bounds. 11-17 remaining. Iowa leading by 3. And as you look at that trophy, this is one of a lot of trophy games for Iowa. They got the CyHawk, the Floyd of Rosedale, Heroes, the Heroes Trophy against Nebraska, the Heartland Trophy against Wisconsin, and you look at that.
Yeah, this one's been around since '76. It was actually the Des Moines Athletic Club that named it.
Just over 11 minutes to play. Stanley with Torrin Young behind him. Remember, they've gone all day without Ivory Kelly-Martin, who injured his ankle last week.
Off the edge.
Yep. They picked it up. Passes almost off the tip. Picked off. Noah Fant was the intended receiver. Back to Greg Wolf in Los Angeles with his game break.
Wow.
A huge win for Colorado.
Yep. And where does Nebraska go without a backup here?
Indeed. Torrin Young. The good news is he was able to get into the game again late. You see Uar Zarike making that tackle. And I'll go on to say this, that not playing last week really affected that game.
How so?
Nebraska not having a game to play for a true freshman quarterback. No live bullets until he plays Colorado. That's a lot different than playing Akron in your opener. I mean, it really is.
I don't disagree with you saying. I don't know if that really affects the fact that he got hurt.
Yep.
That's unfortunate, but it's going to be tough. We'll see if the sentiment changes because, believe me, while it wasn't a prodigal arrival, they certainly celebrated in week 1.
Yep. Big win for Colorado. Congratulations to Coach McIntyre's team. Nice pass. That's Hawkinson out for almost. They're not going to like this mark at home. Boy, it looked to me as though he had the first down. He got a left foot mark, not a right foot mark. Oh, that will not be met well by the home folks.
Let's see where his elbow ended up.
I think it should be under review, and it ought to be a first down.
Well, you can see him come out of his break here, and the elbow hits the ground, Tim. I think he's short. I think that's a legitimate call. So you can see him out of his break.
I don't know.
The elbow is down almost a half a yard in front of the yellow line. Now the fist was past it.
Well, when I looked at it live, it certainly looked like a first down.
I can see how that can happen. It's a bang-bang play.
It is. Ferentz certainly believes that it was.
I tell you this, had it been his forearm, it would have been different. But the elbow was clearly down in front of the yellow line.
We do have an angle here, but
this is going to be a great angle.
Yep.
The poke Yeah, it's right there on the inside the
See, I think the ball is actually on the line. Now, granted, the line is unofficial, but where the ball is what matters most. Dean Blandino, sharpen your skills from out in Los Angeles for us, will you?
Yeah, it's close. I think the live shot was the best look. The ball is in the left arm. To me, he had to get to the 28. As soon as that forearm hits the ground, looked like the nose of the ball was on the 28 and that he made the line to gain.
Aha. So Mr. Blandino sees it my way.
I'm looking at the elbow. That's what I'm looking at.
Well, it's bang bang, no question about it. I thought now he may not have gotten the line to make, but look where the referee, the line judge winds up. He winds up, in my estimation, a good 2 feet behind where he really was, whether he made the first down or he didn't. I think this is a reversal. Kirk Ferentz certainly is believing that as well. The longer it takes, too, that's another thing, Spencer.
Yeah, if it's past 60 seconds, usually they're going to find out where the ball needs to be positioned.
Dean's point about seeing the live call and the camera location for the actual live play shot that we had was the most accurate angle you could get.
Wow. Now,
2 reversals in one game.
how about that?
I've never seen that.
They said he landed on the line to gain.
Yep.
Yeah. Dean was right. I'm looking at the elbow the whole time, and to me, I see that white divot pop up right there.
Yeah, but it's the ball, Spencer.
I understand that, Timmy, but I'm just saying if I'm just telling you what I see.
Again,
I'm an analyst. I say what I see.
I understand it. It's a lovely, healthy debate between 2 old codgers that have been together too long.
you speak for yourself.
1st and 10. Stanley underneath. Pass was thrown behind Fant, but he made a marvelous catch for a first down.
Great adjustment by Fant. Again, slowing down. That ball was on his back hip pocket. And he's just athletic, man. I tell you what, a big tight end typically isn't going to make that play. You can see him coming all the way across the formation here. Gets chucked along the way. The ball is put on his back shoulder, but he's athletic enough to double clutch that thing and haul it back in. Look at the hands on this guy.
Man, that's,
I mean, he's just like a big wide receiver, man. That's not fair.
He made that look a lot easier than it was. Ferentz would love a nice long ball possession series, and Young plugs ahead to the 42-yard line and is stopped by number 42, Marcel Spears.
I was content, like a steady drip wearing a hole in a rock, to just do this the Iowa way, run it down, and try to win this thing late.
Brian Ferentz, who said, I did a little bit of everything for Coach Belichick, and I picked up on a lot being on that staff. Sort of a second-generation version of what his dad did in Cleveland. Young remains the setback. Stanley in trouble, lets it fly and almost intercepted. Now the intended receiver was easily, again, the pass thrown behind, actually, Gronowig. Eisworth was covering, but Kyle Gronowig was the intended receiver, but he was under pressure and let it fly, but it was thrown behind the intended receiver.
Play action, but here's the fullback right here that gets called. Nice.
Oh, he got
they got that left hand back on the numbers. And
Brady Ross, the fullback, the junior from Humboldt, Iowa. And it's 2nd and 16. Stanley shoots it towards Easley, and that's a reception at the 47-yard line, just shy of a first down. And now a quick word from Duracell.
This fantasy season, trust Duracell, not auto drafts.
3rd down, less than a yard. Interesting call coming up here.
Yeah, Iowa State in that last play was in a 3-man front, and when you're doing that, you're playing 8 back. There's a lot of throwing lanes, and they tend to be huge, particularly if you're moving.
Well, they finally got it to a wide receiver. 9 of his 14 completions for Stanley have gone to the tight end. Bingo, right to Ross. And the big burly fullback with a little Iowa football for you.
And that is Iowa football. And Brian Ferentz told us yesterday, I said, hey, are you prepared to go with a vertical game if you have to? He said, yeah, we're prepared to do it whatever we have to. Yeah. But this is Iowa football that you're seeing right here.
There are a lot of coaches out there that would say, you know, we got an O-line head coach and we got an O-line offensive coordinator, and that's what we're getting, some O-line football right now. Young on the stretch play towards the boundary. And he stopped at the 45-yard line. Mike Rose, the linebacker again. Boy, he has just been all over the place. He'll be double-digit tackles before this is over today.
And you're talking about intelligent football. As this play bounces and comes out here, watch the awareness to stay in bounds, to keep that clock turning and running. You know, a lot of guys would necessarily try to protect themselves. You couldn't blame them for it. But, Timmy, that's heads up running, understanding the context is let that clock tick.
Just in case you were wondering, Spencer, the last time an Iowa State game ended with less than 10 combined points, November 24th, 1917. Iowa won it 6-3.
Did you call that game, too?
That pass is caught, good for a first down to Hawkinson. You're just getting me back.
Not at all. You know I love you.
7-yard pickup. That's a nice pitch and catch.
Yeah, it really is. And again, nothing clandestine about it. Just zone coverage, good hands there. Hawksley pulls it in and just moves a chain. The first down.
Well, they've really gone to Hawkinson a lot today.
I can hear Hockley saying, first down.
Young buried at the line of scrimmage this time. You got to give it to Iowa State. They expected a lot more from their offense. Their defense has stood strong throughout this game. Leo playing big for them. Big Matt Leo, redshirt junior.
And that's a contrast in what they did last year. They literally wore down, and what precipitated the defensive whole cloth change that they made. But the body posture is slowing just a tad, but it's more a function of what Iowa's doing in the run game.
I see a lot of depth for Matt Campbell's team, especially on the defensive end. It will bode well for them in the Big 12 this year as the season goes on. 2nd and 9. How about that reversal by Mackay? And Sargent moves forward, the sophomore from Key West. Stopped by Matt Leo, 89.
Yeah, if you just look at the game, though, through a microscope, Jamal Johnson, number 92, the nose guard, just missed. Those are the types of tackles they were making early in the first, second, and third quarter. It is a game of inches, and physically you can see Iowa just wearing them down. But again, as you pointed out, Iowa State's defense, for the most part, has been really, really consistent.
Now, this is, though, exactly what Ferentz had in mind. The 12th play of this drive, clock going tick, 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 tick. 3rd and 4. This would take another 2.5 minutes off the clock if they get the line to make. Quick pass lofted. It's right there. It's Brandon Smith. He's got it near the goal line.
Against DeAndre Payne, the corner, the one they think so highly about. The problem is he got put in his back pocket, and they're going to go pace and tempo. How about it?
Sargent, touchdown.
Here comes the pass. Again, this is what set it up against man coverage. It's a dime, dropped exactly where it needed to be. And then the pace and tempo to hurry up and get the team from the passing conference on their heels. Iowa just Big 12, the Big 12 team.
And the youngster from Iowa Western Community College, a real difference maker in this game without Ivory Kelly Martin available, and comes up big. Well, the first touchdown of today's game comes with 4:47 left. And Mackay Sargent puts the finishing touches off a long drive that really was keyed by a marvelous pass, touch pass from Stanley to Brandon Smith, his first reception of the game.
It was a beautiful piece of work. 13 plays, 83 yards. Took 6:30 off the clock. Mixed it up well, too. 6 passes, 7 rushes.
Here's Nwangu. He's a speed merchant. Looking for a seam. Manages the 26, and that's it. Cyclones got a lot of ground to make up. A 10-point lead seems big. It looks like it's still Zeb Nolan's game, trailing by 10.
If he can get the consistency factor down, this will be a much better team.
His dad was a high school assistant where he grew up in Menominee. Very critical of his own play, and there you see.
That'll be a flag.
Got to be a flag.
Yep.
O.J. Mudia all over Landon Akers that time as he was going deep. And flag also back in the backfield, so we may have. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Big. Well, you had the roughing penalty, and of course interference down there as well. But the roughing penalty happening first, you get the 15 yards and move forward.
And Parker Hassey came in there. Got to feel like he had some sense that the ball was away. It's not a smart play by the leader of this stop unit.
Boy, what a nice young man he is.
Yeah, he's
too.
unbelievably nice. And oh, listen.
Yep. And Phil Parker will not like that. But going back to Hesse from walk-on Iowa, this is a youngster that just thinks the world of his experience here. And you mentioned team leader. This is a team that lost, Josie Jewell, great linebackers.
Linebacker, sure.
And they know that the defensive front is the strength of the Iowa defense this year. And they're helping these young linebackers that are taking over from those that got away. That pass knocked down, batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Looks like A.J. Epinesa was there,
Yep.
had that hand up and batted it down. And again, that's tough, boy. When you're trying to see along those long guys, you can see the edge rusher coming here. If you can't get to the quarterback, you can still affect the play on the bull rush by getting that right mid up in the air. Epinesa did a fine job of that on that play. I mean, this whole stop unit, Tim, has done a great job. Iowa State, 66 yards on that first drive, 102 yards since.
Yeah, they looked like a well-oiled machine until they got to the 1-yard line in that big series early in the game.
Nice. Got holding probably.
Yeah, Nolan gets it to Akers with the flag down again in an area where you suspect holding.
Yeah, Epinesa involved in that play again, but I think he was the victim that time.
And it would have been first down.
Yeah, the left tackle you can see right here working against this guy. He's got a wide 9 technique. That means he's creating a double go. He can go up the field or underneath. That makes tackles really nervous when they've got to protect the inside and the outside, given a big guy that's athletic like that two-way go.
I think Matt Campbell will come away from this game, and of course it's still in doubt with 4 and change remaining. He said the offensive line against this stout defensive front would be the question. And I think in the development of this Iowa State team moving forward in the Big 12, he just needs some maturation of these guys. He's got some tackles playing center and some guards having to play tackle.
I think he's going to.
There's Butler, incomplete. Good defense on that fly route with O.J. Mudia back there.
I was just going to say, I think he's going to want to take more shots down the field. If he had a chance to do it, this ball was thrown through double coverage there, hit him right off the top of the helmet. But I think if Coach Campbell had another look-see.
Yeah, I think he got away with one there too, don't you?
Yep.
That should have been a flag.
Yeah, it should have been a flag.
3rd down and 20. This capacity crowd will tell you all you need to know.
All that moving around. It's the second time they got him on the same look, Tim. The right tackle confused.
So now 3rd and 25 after Bryce Meeker's mistake. Number 74.
Well, here's the movement here on the outside. Again, he can't hear. That's part of the problem. But all he has to do is turn his eyes and looks down at the ball when the ball is snapped. The quarterback wants it, and there's an internal clock to a tackle. He's looking inside, and he knows the ball should be off. But the surefire way to make sure you don't jump is to just turn around and look at the ball and see when it's snapped. Delay blitz.
Out pattern, incomplete, in and out of the hands of Butler. Again, he was well covered, but the ball did hit between the 1 and the 8.
Hakeem Butler playing the X position probably should have had that ball.
Yeah.
You can see him working on the out against soft coverage, turns it into an out cut. That ball just hits him right on the shoulder. He dropped it. He let it climb on him and popped him right on the 8. Campbell was not going to like it, number one, because he let the ball climb on him. It's a fundamental play. You hands that ball. Go pluck it out of the air and use your chest as a backstop.
Amani Hooker was close by, but he did not get his mitt on it. And the boot by Dunn, high and tight. And Gronowig lost it, but I think there had been some interference.
Yeah, there's contact there.
44-yard boot, but some interference. Got to give him a little room to make that catch. And they'll sort things out. It looked like DeAndre Payne, number 1, got there inside that zone that needs to be free for the receiver to have a chance to take on.
Yeah, the mental errors for the Cyclones starting to mount a little bit down the stretch, and still 3:30 to go, but they can ill afford to make any mistakes.
It was a good boot. Gronowig is sure-handed. He wanted to stop, but his momentum simply would not help him out. We'll be back. Would more than likely wind up in next week's top 25 polls. Torrin Young remains the setback, and he takes it ahead for a couple of yards. Each of these teams had gotten a lot of votes outside the top 25. He's pushed back.
Mike Rose isn't stopping, boy. He's that inside linebacker at the Mike position has been sticking his nose from the first kickoff of this game. He's just been outstanding. Now notice it, Iowa State's been using a lot of their frontline players on special teams, man. That's a kind of an underlying theme of Coach Campbell. Did the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. That whole cloth change last year was on defense was about getting the athletes on the field, keeping them fresh. They're not afraid to use these top line players on teams.
Remember, they've got a full complement of timeouts remaining.
Yep.
And they're going to need them. And they need a stop here, obviously, on 2nd and 9. Go with that heavy formation, and Young is stopped in his tracks. Mike Rose, the first again to get there. Plenty of help, and we've got a timeout. Quick 30-second break. We'll take a look at the road ahead when we come back. As we take a look at the road ahead, Spencer, sponsored by Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. It doesn't get any easier. The Sooners, with no doubt revenge on their minds, will be headed into Ames next week. Terry Bowden's Akron Zips, a non-conference game. And then, oh, by the way, the Horned Frogs of TCU also have a score to settle with this Iowa State team. And I'm telling you, West Virginia with Will Greer, I mean, I think the Mountaineers might get to midseason 6-0.
All these teams that are doing some special things right now have one thing in common. The guy under center is a good one.
Yep. Sargent, who has that only touchdown of the day, ahead for another couple of yards. Mike Rose again making the stop. And another timeout taken. Now the Hawkeyes, and this is one of the reasons why a victory today is so important to that man, Kirk Ferentz. Non-conference with Northern Iowa next week, and then the Badgers come in here from, yes, their division. Wisconsin's got a lot of road games ahead of them. Some believe that they are, without question, the best team in the division, but Iowa would beg to differ. All they do is beat top 15 teams in this building.
Well, that's right. Again, of the FBS programs, this team, this Iowa team, is one of the more impressive teams from the West that anybody thought could unseat Wisconsin.
Yeah, and the great thing about the schedule this year for Kirk Ferentz is those tough outs are at home.
Yep.
And when that happens, they find a way usually to navigate themselves into a great postseason.
Fighting Bob Davies gave them a little shot for their money today.
Yeah, New Mexico got an early lead before Wisconsin was able to run away with it. Ratstetter will punt it away, and the left footer gets the end-over-end boot down to the 14-yard line where the fair catch is taken by Milton. 2:32 remaining after the 38-yard boot. We do have a flag down. And I bet, going back to what happened today in Lincoln with that Colorado win? So an additional 5 yards will be given, says Cooper Castleberry. Iowa State was the team that didn't get the reps in. And as you look at what happened to them today, that first drive that ended with a false start, forcing the field goal, and then the troubles began. And it ended with Kempt, unfortunately, getting injured.
Well, the only thing I think that they could possibly have done different besides the penalties and the key mistakes, obviously no turnovers, I would have loved to see them take more shots down the field.
Yeah.
Because they've got the athletic talent. They have the size advantage in the wide receiver spot. It was just lack of faith in that offensive line, which is young and rejiggered, that probably cost them.
First down, Zeb Noland in relief of Kempt.
Nice.
That pass is caught by Butler. And that's the guy you figured that had the advantage today.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got that big, long frame. And, again, he's the guy that's the home run hitter on this team. You can see him with a tight alignment here. He's going to come down, deal with the underneath coverage, find a nice little window in there and get upfield and spin out of it. He's a playmaking receiver now.
Only one timeout remaining for the Cyclones. So they need to move quickly and use the boundaries. Incomplete for Chase Allen. The coveted CyHawk Trophy awaits.
Not all bad that that clock stops now, and then they get a shot downfield and see if they get the play that they want.
Every year these two have played since 1977. 65 years this rivalry has captured the state of Iowa. Noland in trouble. That ball was loose. They're going to rule it a fumble, it appears, and it's Epinesa that stripped it. And the recovery by Chauncey Golston, 57.
Golston gets connected, but Epinesa. And this is a classic example of what we're talking about. An inability to protect the quarterback is the reason why they haven't been going down the field. So in that regard, coach is making wise decisions. Epinesa did a tremendous job of beating his man, getting to the quarterback, creating the turnover for his battery mate.
It is under review. The arm went forward, but the ball did not. No question this should be a fumble. Epinesa with perfect timing here.
Yeah, that's definitely a turnover.
And the first turnover of the afternoon.
Well, 96% of the times, one of the key metrics I look at, turnovers. Whoever's leading in that category after 60 is going to win the game.
You know, Spencer, in talking with Kirk Ferentz, this is a guy that's been a rock of stability here. Only 3 athletic directors going back to Bump Elliott since 1970, and only Hayden Fry and the longest tenured coach currently in FBS, Ferentz, and his son now Brian on the staff after the time that he had. And when I think of Kirk Ferentz, I think of a guy that does it his way, and for him and for the state of Iowa and this institution, it's obviously the right way.
And there were times when it wasn't always smooth, and people wondered whether or not how could a guy keep his job in years when they were down, when they were favored to win the division and the conference. But he's so steady, consistent, an unbelievable high character guy, builds trust, loves these kids. I think he's one of the great ones. You look at these guys right here, longest tenured coaches, he is at the top of the class.
By the way, we should mention that Bill Snyder of Kansas State is having a great curtain call, although they lost to Mississippi State today. But he was away from Kansas State for 3 years before taking back over for Coach Prince. But Ferentz came into the season tied with Hayden Fry, and now he's going to be beyond him by 2 after today's victory. Brady Ross down to the 30-yard line, and we reach the minute mark. Spencer, I think the Wisconsin game in 2 weeks, you talk about highly anticipated. That will be big, really big, and one of those great hurdles for the Badgers on the road in the Big Ten.
Well, you can't look ahead, but one of the things, again, the team that was favored, if there was a team in the West that could knock off Wisconsin, it would be this Iowa team.
Yeah, they're built to beat.
They're built to beat them.
Yep.
They're mirror images in some ways of one another. And that guy right there, I'll tell you, I put him up against any team in this conference.
Wasn't it great hearing him talk about growing up in Pittsburgh and idolizing Chuck Noll, the no-nonsense approach that he had? He makes no bones about being at his core a Pittsburgh kind of guy.
And I thought the thing that was ironic about it, you talked to him about his success trek. He didn't expect anything necessarily. He just put his head down and went after it. And at every significant stop he's had, he didn't expect to get it. I thought that was really strange. A lot of these coaches are intentional, but you can't argue with the results.
Yeah, he went through his days as a slappy in Cleveland for Bill Belichick. There you see, he was tutored. An assistant coach in '81. He said Hayden was the only guy that would give him a job.
Yep.
And I thought Hayden Fry, who, by the way, 90 years of age now.
He's a young 90.
One of the coolest guys of his generation.
It was the glasses.
Yeah.
You know, it's the glasses. It's those glasses right there. It's kind of like, you know, a highway patrolman or something.
People don't remember, but Hayden Fry was the character that Hayden Fox from the television series Coach was built around by Craig T. Nelson.
Now help me, partner, on this one. If I'm not mistaken, each one of those coaches right there are the all-time leading coaches at their respective institutions.
At their respective schools,
Isn't that something? How about that?
The tentacles of success.
Bob Stoops played for him, wore number 41. Thought he had a shot at getting his son here. He's playing at Oklahoma now.
We were there when his son was playing in high school to call Bedlam in what turned out to be Bob's last game as head coach of Oklahoma.
And we had the pleasure of calling it,
Yep. 4 in a row for the seniors. They love their coach, and well, they should. The first of 4 trophy games for Iowa belongs to the Hawkeyes. How about some ice cream tonight, Coach? You deserve it. A lot of mutual respect there. Matt Campbell's a difference maker and is going to be a factor in the Big 12. But look at this. Take it all in.